So we'll do what we wanted to do for the biggest chunk of this podcast, which is to talk about the old days, because people say City have no history. I've seen it only today on social media, a Liverpool fan saying we've won 18 titles and 5 or 6 European Cups, however many it is. That's what history is. Well, that's not what I understand history is. History is a lot more complicated than that. We've had Gary James, who is City's unofficial historian. I say that respectfully. I don't think there's an official role as historian, that's why I say it. He effectively is the club's historian. And if you've ever been to his talks that he gives, and I have been lucky enough to be in attendance at several of them now, he will talk about the history of Manchester City, the rich history of Manchester City, and it isn't just about winning trophies. I mean, obviously that is a fixation from clubs of supporters of certain clubs. Some will say the reason why City fans are not like that is because they haven't won as many trophies. So, yeah, I can see that. But I actually think that having a multi-layered history is far more interesting than just actually winning all the time. Just my opinion. But I think, Sean, having now become an author...
Co-author, yeah.
Co-author. And you're still an author.
Dipping my toe in the water.
So you have lived through all the football I've lived through. You've lived through all the fandom that I've lived through, just as Don did for a long time.
Yeah.
And we've seen all those ups and downs. We've seen that rich tapestry, whatever way you look at it. And you've written about it, and you've written it from a fan's perspective with contributions from other fans.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us what this book is all about.
I think in the current era that we have with football now, which is, I think we'd all admit now, it's almost unrecognisable to what we grew up with. And that was kind of a bit of the driving force behind it, because there will be a generation of City fans that don't know what defeat means, which I find it absurd to say it, but nonetheless, there's kids in school now that are walking around with their chest puffed out because City are the team to support in Manchester at this moment in time. And I think, hopefully, we've caught a cross-section of what happened, the good, the bad, the ugly. The ugly, fortunately, is not. We're not. It's not a football hooligan book. I can assure you of that. But it tells it as it was, and you'll read some of those stories, and you'll think, God, it was that bad that day, or conversely. How did we beat Huddersfield 10-1? How did we manage to score 10 goals? Because as I'm sure you were all part of the 19,583 with a handful of Huddersfield fans stuck in the corner of the Platt Lane, and Andy May scored the goal, so we can claim we scored all 11 that day. But those days to us mean every bit as much as what we see and enjoy now.
And if not more.
If not more, because that's what defines us. And I think that's the point we're trying to make. For all the ridicule that we'll get from other clubs' fans now we're there to be shot at. Well, do you know what? We're just an ordinary working class club from Manchester, M14 7WN, and we moved across the city, and that's what we are.
We won the lottery, didn't we?
Exactly. And I defy anybody else's fans, as you said, Paul, to have not took it on board and embrace it as we have done.
To be fair, obviously I do the match day vlog, and the one that I did at Anfield has had this, as I'm sitting here now, has had around 30,000 views, and a lot of those have actually been Liverpool fans, I can tell that. And there have been a lot of comments on there that have been pretty negative and horrible, really. Mm-hmm. But there also been there's been some nice comments on there from Liverpool fans who do acknowledge that there is a loyal fan base, of which we are part, who have been through those tough times. And the word deserve is a contentious word, but that some people might argue City fans deserve what has happened to them because of what they went through to get to this point. And I think there is certainly a respect from certain types of Liverpool, United and everybody else's fans towards the City fans, like you, Sean, like me, like plenty of other people that we could name.
Paul, Jane, Will, absolutely.
Is that fair? That this word deserve, because it is a contentious word. Do you think City fans deserve what has happened because of the contents of your book?
Oh, I'm a bit more of a realist than that in a way. You only get what you only get out what you put in, and basically we've got to where we've got. Yes, we've had a massive helping hand with money, but we still had to use that money properly, and down to the calibre of person that Pep's brought into the club, and having had the good fortune to meet Leroy Sané and Gundogan when they turned up on the doorstep unannounced. I can say we're not only signing great footballers.
You've got to explain. Hang on, before you expand on that, just explain that, because that's assumed knowledge, as they say. So, what do you mean turned up on the doorstep unannounced?
The club in the last 2, 3, 4 years have done a series of initiatives to kind of reward fan loyalty and people that the fans that have stuck with them through thick and thin. And obviously, you could narrow that down to 25,000. So somehow out of that, I ended up being the one. I'll be eternally grateful. So basically, the club said they were coming under other pretences, which was looking at a bit of memorabilia that I had. So I made the excuses at work like you do, and we're running around. And then next thing we know, my wife shouts out the window, "Sean, you're never going to believe who's outside. It's Leroy Sané and Ilkay Gundogan." So.
Did you get the Hoover out and everything? Was you going around Becky's going mad with the Hoover?
So I went to the front door and said morning, because that's just what you do, isn't it? And I said it was the day after we'd won at Watford last game of the season, the 5-6-0 at the last. So it was the day after the Monday morning. So I said, I seen you yesterday to Leroy, and I said, but I didn't see you, Ilky, because he obviously was injured. And then invited him in, and that was it for 40 minutes. We talked about a lot of things, and
so this wasn't just done as a pure 30-second little bit of film, shake hands. You actually got a proper conversation.
But not only that, they had gifts for us, which was basically a season ticket home and away for me and Jane for the following season. Which, if you do it in monetary terms, we've not got to find $2,500 for the next season. So it's a massive impact. But they couldn't tell me that, because I took the envelopes off them and shoved them in my pocket, and they spent the next 10 minutes saying, "Sean, we need them envelopes. You've got to get them out because we've got to present them to you." So it was all just dead, matter of fact, and they really, really bought into it. And I think Leroy, it kind of as the younger player, I think he'd never actually quite seen anything like it before, and I think he alluded to it after, saying, "I've met a real fan, not just somebody that kind of lives, breathes the club." As obviously my wife does, and we all do. And it's good for the players to actually understand that that's what, up and down the country, from a Bury fan, and I think the world of Bury, and hopefully something will happen good for them. But don't matter how big or small your club is, nobody can deny you that passion that you feel, and that and the adrenaline rush that we all get. And in that respect, nobody's better than anybody else. True. We're all the same. We follow it. And football's the best thing on the planet because it unites people.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Can you remember what you were going to say before I interrupted you?
Oh, no, I haven't got a clue. Short-term memory loss.
Well, then let me go down a different route then, which is you've told us a little bit about the outline of the book.
Yeah.
The book, it covers what period?
So from my perspective, I started from how I became a Manchester City supporter, which was, and again, depending on what area you're from, I'm not sure if Will be familiar with football cards, but certainly when we was kids growing up, we all got they used to have the piece of chewing gum in them. ABC or Tops, and they were in the early 70s, and they're 5 in a packet.
Will's putting his eyebrows up here, I haven't got a clue what
I'm not being funny. We'd kill for the 2p to buy them. Yeah. So we bought these, and we'd all go to school with them, and you'd have the bundle of them. There was nothing fancy to store them in.
So you'd have an elastic. Lovely, didn't they? They smell of bubble gum as well, didn't they? Yeah.
But they wondered, obviously at school, there was a massive problem with dentistry, because all our teeth were falling out, because we all ate that much chewing gum, because we kept buying more and more packets, and every time you bought them, you had to have another stick of chewing. And of course it was laced with sugar, because there was no consideration for it. So we lost all our milk teeth very, very early. But nonetheless, from those football cards, the babysitter Peter, that used to look after us when my mum and dad went out, they were 2 City fans from Moston, and they had the set of the City cards, and it was like the Holy Grail for me. And then one night, one of the girls, and it's Sandra, said, "Sean, you can have them." And I honestly, I thought I'd won the pools. I've got this picture of Joe Coddigan and the late Ron Ely and Mike Doyle and Tommy Booth and Tony Towers, and I've got the full set, all 11 of them, and they've got the orange backs on, and it tells you little bits of stats about them, where they were born, and I kind of you remember the height, and Willie Donachie was from Gorbals, Glasgow, so you've got every little minute, and I studied it all, and that gave me the bug. As did all my schoolmates, and the majority of us growing up in our school were City fans. There was United fans, obviously, and because it was classed as Oldham, where it was South Chadderton, a couple of Oldham lads, and in fact I think one of the Oldham lads, Andrew Dearden, his uncle Bill, played for Sheffield United. So we had a lad in school whose uncle played for Sheffield United, and Sheffield United then in the 70s was a big side. It was a big, like, and it's
Alan Woodward.
And his uncle plays football. It was like, it's like the best thing to ever hear.
Invite us round to your house kind of thing.
And the weird thing with Andrew was, I think he couldn't have been less interested in football. And his uncle, you'd have killed for that, to have an uncle that played for a big city club. Yeah. So it's very, very humble beginnings, but nonetheless it taught us that, and to collect them cards, the value to you. And then, of course, you'd had swaps. So, of course, you
Didn't you used to play, at school, when did you do this, Paul?
You flick them against the wall.
You skinned them against the wall, and you risked losing all your good cards.
Yeah, not with mine. I didn't want to bend them. I even had that thing at that age to think, I'm not creasing my cards.
I had a set of my good stuff, and then in my other pocket. And if you played somebody
really,
doubles, if somebody really good turned up to play, you'd shuffle them into the other side so you didn't lose your best stuff. That was ace. Them were the days.
So that got me the bug, and then following on from that, my dad got the opportunity to take me to the Dennis Law derby in '74. So that was my first game. It's probably well documented, but that nonetheless, it was not a bad starter for 10, is it? And I just remember seeing the back heel in real life, and then watching it on the television and thinking, it looks a long, long way from having seen it at the game. I couldn't believe how far out, and it was all like slow motion happening. And then I don't remember much after that, because all I remember were arms and legs, because there were people being thrown in the air, and I didn't realise at the time that it's a Manchester derby, tensions are running high, Man United know they're going down, and Man City fans, they're going to cop for it, and that basically I witnessed all this going on before my eyes, and welcome to the derby.
Well, there was a pitch invasion. The game never actually finished technically, did it?
How old were you at this point? I
was 9.
Right.
So and then I remember the referee with a microphone, Tommy Docherty came on. They got Matt Busby out the stand to come on, and he wasn't going to clear them. I mean, that was it. The pitch was full, and I think the plan was, and it was a common thing, it wasn't just United. I think Newcastle had done it against Forest, Leeds had done it against. It was an attempt to get the game abandoned, which of course they succeeded in. But subsequent to that, the 6 minutes or so that wasn't played, it was deemed by the Football League as it didn't matter. The result stood, because it didn't change anything in the league and what have you. So they didn't actually, those fans that did it that day didn't get what they wanted.
Good.
So,
Good.
absolutely.
Great story.
Well, before Sean carries on with his story, which